The movie I decided to do was Ouija Origin of Evil. And for my presentation, I was just going to go through the PowerPoint and then show clips of the movie as I explain the communication techniques that are being used in the movie. My main objective is to effectively present the methods of communication that are used in the movie Ouija Origin of Evil. I believe that by studying the plot, the dialogue, and the characters, I can best see how they communicate with each other and how the dialogue was written to create depth to the characters and the ways they communicate. I hope to expand my knowledge on all this by studying the communication in Ouija Origin of Evil. The main characters in the movie are Alice Xander, which is the mother, Lena Xander, which is the daughter, Doris Xander, which is probably the main character, the little girl that gets possessed, and then you have Father Tom, which is the priest that works at the girls' school that they go to. They go to a Catholic school, and then there's Mikey, which is Lena's crush or boyfriend. The setting is 1967 Los Angeles, so it's set in kind of an older environment in the 60s. I don't know if that means the dialogue and the communication is going to be somewhat different, but definitely the attire and things like that are completely different. The plot, this is just a summary. Probably not the best summary, but it says in 1967 Los Angeles, unwitting mother Alice Xander runs a seance scam business out of her house with her two children, Lena and Doris Xander. In order to boost sales through the advice of Lena, Alice adds a Ouija board to their business. Her youngest daughter starts to believe she hears her deceased father talking to her, and Alice then sees her daughter's gifts and starts to use them to actually help people through her seance. Lena does not trust what is going on with Doris and decides to give some writings that Doris wrote in Polish to Father Tom at their Catholic school to be translated. After they are translated, Father Tom comes over to tell Lena and Alice that Doris isn't talking to her deceased father or anyone's loved one at all, but a craven spirit that has overtaken her. The rest is a fight for their life. Three elements of communication that I detected throughout the movie in the beginning are mediated communication. Doris has used mediated communication through the Ouija board to speak with a craven spirit who she thinks is her deceased father. Communication is symbolic. The use of the Ouija board in itself proves that communication is therefore symbolic. By using the symbols, letters on the board to communicate in real fashion, it proves that communication is symbolic. Prominent MIT linguist Noam Chomsky has asserted for decades that symbols are what makes human communication unique. And then the third one is self-actualization. It is a stretch to say that Doris was not able to self-actualize because of the craven spirit. She was probably too young to anyway, but it is one way to connect these principles to the movie. It is obvious that her needs for affection had been cut off by the spirit, so in one way it is not so much of a stretch. Okay, then I'm going to show you a short clip from the movie here. And it doesn't record audio, but I have the subtitles on.
You can hear him? Whispers. They're coming to me now. But I can hear them a little better when I'm at the board. A lot better if I touch the planchette. Doris, this is mean. It's okay, Lena. Daddy, are you here? Sorry.
I told you I was pregnant with Lena. You were when I told you. Is he right? He doesn't really need me. Isn't that right, Daddy? Sometimes I can see them. Yes.
Okay, that's the first clip that I was going to show. So back to the presentation. And then right here, I just typed out the scene that we saw right here. And the two connections I put together was, you see right away, Alice asks her daughter, she says, "You can hear him?" And Doris says, "Whispers, but I can hear them a little better when I'm at the board. A lot better if I touch the planchette." The planchette being the little triangle thing with the magnifying glass. And I have red highlighted, I have them highlighted right there in red. Because I have it highlighted down here below too, because I have them connected, and I'm not sure if we go to the next slide, these them, I'm not sure if it denotates the whispers, if she's talking about the whispers, because at first she says, "I can hear them." She says, Alice says, "You can hear him." She says, "Whispers, but I can hear them a little better when I'm at the board." So it's not clear if she is denotating the whispers or if she's talking about the ghosts. And down at the bottom, she says, "Sometimes I can see them, but I haven't seen Daddy yet, but I want to." So when she says them, it looks like it's apparent that at the bottom she's denotating the ghost or the spirit. So I thought it was possible that she could be denotating the ghost or the spirit on all of them, or on both of them. The Ouija board is abstract in its speech. Like I said, I highlighted them when Doris says it twice in the previous slide because it isn't quite clear what them represents. At first it seems like she is denotating the whispers, but when she says that again, it seems as if it could denotate either whispers or ghosts, because she says she can sometimes see them when she looks through the planchette. When Lena bursts out and says, "This is mean," I think you could argue that there is a meta message attached to the word mean, implicitly meaning that she is scared and doesn't know how to feel. Doris responds to Lena saying, "It's okay, Lena. Daddy, are you here?" is a very nonchalant way that seems somewhat disassociated. Lena says, "Stop it," very emotionally, in a way that is so emotional it is the antithesis of Doris. After Doris gets Alice's question right about their deceased father, Doris looks through the planchette and Alice asks, "What are you looking at?" With a high amount of curiosity and perhaps even frightened, Doris then says, "Sometimes I can see them, but I haven't seen Daddy yet, but I want to." This is what made me think that when Doris says them the first and second time, she is denotating the spirits that she can see and hear. I believe this is done purposely and is some clever writing. Nonverbal messages. I was going to show these scenes, but I don't think I have enough time because the thing has 15 minutes long and I'm already going on 10. So I'm just going to read the nonverbal messages that are going on in the scene. The scene is towards the climax of the movie where Father Tom comes over after Lena has given him some manuscripts that Doris had written in Polish in her room. Father Tom fools Alice into giving him a seance through Doris, and the Ouija board debate Doris and see if he can fool the spirit. I picked this scene because there is a ton of nonverbal communication between the characters. He sits down with the Ouija board, Doris and Alice. During this reading, Doris contacts Father Tom's deceased wife, supposedly, and starts asking her questions. And it was actually this part in the movie that I started to appreciate the character of Doris's acting. I wasn't so sure about it most of the movie. But the way she is looking at Father Tom with those eye gazes the entire time, it seemed like she was definitely doing it to monitor his actions, and the way he was also looking at her. There are numerous nonverbal cues and expressions in the scene between all the characters, but like I said before, most are between Doris and Father Tom, with both of them having deliberate voluntary facial movements or posed expressions, because they both were being very insincere to each other. Doris, in order to deceive Father Tom, in order to think that he was actually talking to his wife. And Father Tom was deceiving Doris to try and find out if she was actually talking to who she said she was, or another darker spirit. After they are done with the seance, Father Tom wants to speak alone with Lena and Alice, but Alice does not know why, so Lena uses gestural communication to talk with Alice by pinching her hand to get her to go upstairs with her and Father Tom to talk about his findings. Listening. The scene I'm addressing is towards the beginning of the movie and is about 4 minutes long. It takes place after Alexander finds her daughter sneaking out of her bedroom. It is the morning after, I believe, and Lena says she is going to walk to school with a friend, that friend being a boy named Mikey who she likes. He then rings the doorbell. Alice then tells Lena to take her sister with her to school and to go get her ready. She then proceeds to talk to Mikey. I use this scene because I believe Mikey had to use all 6 levels of effective listening in order to effectively communicate with Alexander. First, he had to motivate himself to listen because Alice was communicating through a palm reading and also communicating very indirectly. This would make it hard for him to clearly hear the message and to be able to pay attention to the message and correctly interpret it. The message was made clear by the end of their conversation when she put pressure on the center of his palm and told him not to hurt her daughter, causing pain for Mikey. This also gave him some time to evaluate the message and respond accordingly. The biggest internal-external barrier to effective listening that I observed was focusing on the speaker instead of the message. It appears as if Mikey was having a hard time listening to the message that Alexander was trying to convey because of how she was trying to convey it. It is also possible that he was daydreaming somewhat and wasn't able to fully hear what Alice was trying to say. I think these barriers could be partly overcome by the speaker conveying the message in a different way. I feel that part of the reason Mikey wasn't able to listen well is because of the force Alexander was using by trying to convey it. Though a part of me thinks that because of the message she was trying to convey, maybe some force was necessary. I would say to the lead characters that in order to listen and communicate effectively, you need to make sure you empathize with the other characters and listen as intently as you possibly can. Okay, it's going on 14 minutes, so I'm just going to start a new video here.